Okay, welcome everyone. Let's do a sound check and see if we're rolling. All right. Again, testing. See what we got here. All right. Again, testing. All right. So, welcome everyone to Monday. Welcome to Monday, December 2nd. And we're going to have quite a night tonight. And hopefully, I can make it go faster than I think it's going to happen. But um, wow. So tonight we're going to be discussing phones, okay? Geofencing and GPS and relevancy of phones. And I think you will all be hopefully educated somewhat tonight on some aspects of what we just saw take place. And before I get into that too far, let me just say that I believe that we've just witnessed one of the greatest injustices of our age in watching an entire community and contingent of law enforcement and court officials single-handedly railroad an individual in an attempt to hide the truth about what happened to Abby and Libby, victims of the Delphi murders. And I think many people coming into this community will not really understand what they just witnessed, and some of the maneuvering that went on in order to make this happen. And so I thought tonight would be a good opportunity to take a look and educate ourselves somewhat about what went on, about some of the aspects of geofencing and cell phone GPS data and all of that. So before we get too far into that, let me say hello to everyone who's here and then we'll get started. Okay, so just a minute. Okay, wow, welcome everyone. So let's see who we have in here. So David Rogers, welcome David Rogers. Just James, welcome. Woman Doin, Donnie Kuntz, Shadow Sleuth, Carbun, Sweet Dude Shibby, Rick, Flutter by Whisperer, Winter 63 in the UK, Sweet Dude Shibby, I might have already said that, Pam Sheehan, Mark Ellis, Rebecca Ann 1965, and Heavy Metal Rehab, Tinkerbell, Christine S, Investigation Consultant, Dream Suburb, Carla N, Cole Horton, Harton, Mar R, Bonnie, Laura Dawson, Five Green Acres, Dawn Steele, Nino Dino, Aaron Town, Laura Davison, or Dawson, I've already said hello, Mary Martin, Kay, Amy, everyone please say hello to Amy. All right, Kayla, Mudbug, Nature Loving Lady, Spike Dog, Teresa F, Jesse Lynn, Scales of Injustice, Rhonda Holton, Teresa F, I might have already said hi, Lee Cordell, what's up, Lee? Calipolis Effect, Swade Smith, Digital, Andre, and Heather Brown, and Five Green Acres. I might have said hello already. Band Via, Lisa, Mudbug gifted a prof membership. Thank you, Mudbug. Some hopefully whoever got that enjoys it. Malibu, what's up? All right, Royal We, Queen of the Green, EWTN, BM. Okay, V, what's up, V? Um, have I caught everyone yet? Jesse Lynn, Lindsay. Um, okay, Niobe, welcome back. All right, Squatchman, Mariah McCoy. All right, Jade and Sally and Jenny 33. Welcome. Okay, TFAL 888. Welcome. Okay, Peaches 81. Oh, I feel a sneeze coming on. You guys, excuse me. Um, if I sneeze, help me, Rhonda. And Jenny Grohl. All right, Ashley Nudo. Stay crafted. Okay, JR Girl 22, falling asleep. All right. Dream Suburb. Are the wrenches sorted out? What are you talking about, girl? I don't know. Are they? Santana Treto. What's up? Thank you for watching the lives. Thank you. Okay. Oh, all right. So look, I'm going to try to not sneeze, but I may have to go ahead and sneeze, and then we'll get into the we'll get right into it. And so, yeah, I'm glad everyone's in here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And yes, the pulled muscle, it's starting to relax. You know, yesterday was better than the day before. Today is better than yesterday, and hopefully tomorrow will be better than today. So, so that's what's up. Bobby Smith, what's up? Welcome in, Bobby Smith. All right. What up, David? All right, and I'm here again as always. And you said last time, let's hear and can start now. Oh, Lee's here. Yeah, I'm here. All right. The wrench means you're a mod. That's what the wrench means. Um, should have a bunch of mods in each of the channels. Um, hey, do me a favor while you're here. Hit the like button and get something to drink and relax and put your reading glasses on. We're about to have some stuff to read. Okay. So Bella's in Wonderland. Welcome. And everyone else in the Lurker crew. Let me welcome you in to the chat. So come on into the chat, Lurker crew. It's fine in the chat as long as you're nice to each other. No one's going to hit you over the head with the wrench. So come on into the chat, Lurker crew. Um, anyhow, Kathy Finch, what's up? I got the popcorn and gummy worms. Okay, get the reading glasses and get the get something comfortable to sit on. What's on? What's up? I mean, and what's up, Lily Shaw? All right, all right. So, woo. Let's see if I can take care of this and get started. What's up, Mudbug? Thanks for the super chat. All right, Mudbug leading the way. Everyone follow Mudbug's lead and leave a super chat, leave a cash app, leave a buy me a coffee, leave a comment, leave some chats, leave a like, and leave happy. Okay, so just momentarily hold on. All right. All right. I feel a little better. I feel a little better here. All right. Gosh, I need hydration. Maybe taking multiple breaks tonight to refill the water, but thank you very much. Mark Ellis, thank you very much. All right, y'all. Thank you very much, Mark Ellis. All right. We are going to get into this particular document to kick us off. Okay. It is called Cellular Analysis and Geolocation Field Resource Guide. And this is the CAST Field Resource Guide for law enforcement. And you can see that this is an FBI document, okay? A field guide. And this will help us put into some context some of the things that were discussed at trial and at some of the hearings, and that we will be discussing. And trust me, there's a lot to discuss here because we know that this judge and this prosecution and law enforcement made it absolutely impossible for Richard Allen to get any sort of defense whatsoever. It's part of the reason that you saw him railroaded into this conviction. I mean, let's be honest here. They were attempting to force Richard Allen into a plea deal. Okay. This was happening in a number of ways. They were attempting to pressure his family and manipulate his family. And you saw Sarah Errol Osbrook and Courtney Barris and company attempt that scheme. Okay. And then you saw George Nye and company attempt the outside public pressure and Mark Cohen and company of pressuring him into a plea deal. And you saw the Lieutenants Jones and Robinson, the Odinist guards at Westville, be part of the contingent along with John Gallipo that was trying to force him into a plea deal. And from every angle, he was being forced into a plea deal or positioning in which he would acclimate and plea. And all they managed to do in that entire scheme is coerce some false confessions out of him. And for that reason, they were able to add these coerced confessions into the manufactured evidence against him. And all of that combined with the lack or the blocking of any sort of defense strategy, which is what the judge, prosecutor, and law enforcement together achieved, kept the jury unaware of any sort of defense and kept him away from the right of having any sort of defense. And like I said, the gift that they received in the form of coerced confessions due to the attempt that they were making at forcing a plea deal, it all wound up coming together in a catastrophe of errors and ended up bamboozling the jury, for lack of a better term. And part of that bamboozle was the manipulation of the FBI CAST geofencing data and the blocking of any of the GPS data and all of the phones. So I have called tonight's show the three phones, but please be aware before we even get started, we're actually going to be I guess, operating under the context or within the context with the understanding that we're actually discussing many, many phones, okay? We're discussing many of the phones that were included in the tower dumps, etc., that were not looked at seriously. We're also going to be discussing the three phones, as I titled the show, in particular, that were in and around the area of the High Bridge and Ron Logan's property. And we're also going to be discussing, obviously, the victim's phone. So we're probably ending up talking about at least 20 phones. So there you go. So just a moment. Okay, so first of all, there we go. Again, pardon me so much. Pardon me so much. I just have this sinus. All right, so this says, studying this manual and attending the basic training does not constitute an individual as certified to testify in the court of law. Cell analysis is a great investigative tool. However, testifying in the court regarding cell phone records is difficult and requires significant training. Prior to testifying, CAST agents receive over 500 hours of training. Okay. All right. And here's your table of contents: overview of CAST, U.S. codes and orders, requesting CDRs, intro to cell theory, plotting cell towers, cell site database and other sites, mapping programs, location-based services, tower dumps, other investigative options, Facebook, Apple, etc., and cellular provider information and retention periods. And all of this ties in to Delphi here. Okay. So let's move on. All right. Now, CAST brings unique expertise in cases in which cellular telephone information serves as an important evidentiary role in the investigation. When necessary, CAST will utilize industry standard survey gear, drive test equipment to determine true geographical coverage breadth of a cell site sector. Pinpoint projection, or project Pinpoint uses the following data sets. Just a moment. Historical cell tower list, FBI informants and liaison contacts, fugitive warrant data, Megan's Law sex offender registry, other divisional crime data such as shootings, robberies, etc., other data deemed appropriate such as visas, cameras, case information, etc., which are overlaid and analyzed using mapping software to support fugitive apprehension, informant development, enhancement of investigation for all investigative programs. Okay. To obtain CAST services, and then you email and blah, blah, blah. So let's look at that again. Look at that. Historical cell towers, FBI informants and liaisons, fugitive data, Megan's Law sex offender registry, crime data, and other data, including cameras, case info, etc. So basically, what they're doing, this is a broad net that is cast. All right, you see that? All right. The mission of Cellular Analysis Survey Team, which is CAST, program is to support FBI, along with state, local, and tribal investigations through the analysis of cell data records and their associated tower information. Priorities: an immediate threat of life, FBI priorities, assistance to state and local, and it's managed by the CAST unit within the operational support section of Criminal Investigation Division, with 5 HQ SSAs and 15 national assets who are assigned or CID assigned special agents embedded within selected field offices. Okay, they have over 50 CAST certified field assets who provide CAST analysis within their respective field offices. Okay, and this would mean also sending them out into the courts. Okay, now now take a closer look at this map, and what you'll see is that there's all these survey teams. Okay, and you'll notice in Indiana there's a field asset. Okay, IP. And over there in Ohio, you'll see there's a national asset. Okay. So right there in that area of the Midwest, it's pretty good. Okay. It's pretty good right there. There's lots of nearby assets compared to something like over near Idaho or something. Okay. So we're good. Now, this is the training for the certification. Takes 18 to 24 months. Like they said, 500 hours on the job training. And you'll see there's a basic course, there's a geolocation, FTX, instructor development, advanced historical cell site analysis course, and the 4-week certification. So just trying to brainwash you into the fact that there's some training involved in this. Okay. All right. Now, CAST National Field Asset Responsibilities. Okay, so notice again when I showed you the map that that's what we got, national and field assets in the nearest vicinity. Okay, so going back to here, you see that their responsibilities are obtaining the cell data, analyzing it, looking at the historical analysis, geospatial mapping, tower dumps, comparisons. In other words, trying to increase the fidelity of the rough data that they geofence. Okay. Now you see it says that they do on the ground testing in the actual coverage area of the cell towers, which means, or optimally would mean, that the assets go out to the exact area that is being targeted. So in the case of Delphi, it'd be the Wells Street Tower and the Delphi proper, and over at Ron Logan's in the High Bridge area proper. Go there and verify and measure the cell tower coverage and the compare and contrast the pings, etc. Okay. Target acquisition through analysis of CDR's facilities with deployment of wireless ID and direction finding team, expert witness testimony, like we saw, and we'll get into that tonight. Okay, and then there's an intake form. Those are the codes talking about electronic communications and the codes that support that, etc., and how the court orders and search warrants work and the policies. Now, general record request requirements. Okay, and of course, this will vary by judicial districts, but regarding subpoenas and search warrants. Okay, so I'll let you briefly look it over at this while I blow my nose. Hold on. Whew, okay. All right. Now you'll see they're looking for records with the associated cell phone providers. Okay, this is sort of what this is referencing here. All sorts of information. Okay, you see that? IP, ESNs, subscribers to the phone services, data, uh, calls, all the stuff, and then all the text messages, data, the tracking, location-based services, uh, anything you can imagine that would have to do with the phones. All right, now this is carrier specific here. You'll see they're talking about the specifics. Um, so let's go ahead because I'm more interested in AT&T. Okay, so let's look at AT&T. It says provide call detail records. All subscriber information, including name, address, contact numbers, activation, deactivation dates, account number, social security number, uh, account features, cell site location sectors for all outgoing and incoming voice, SMS, MMS, and data transactions, all available historical precision location reports, all available internet web browsing history to include history with and without location information, all twin paired devices associated with the account. So that's the sort of thing they'd be asking. Okay. Again, you'll see. All right. You see what's going on? Now look at the tower dump verbiage at the bottom there. See? Provide all incoming and outgoing communications, voice, text, and data from all towers and sectors that provide service to the following location. Okay, so you see what I'm getting at here with this tower dump? It's not limited. It's not a nothing burger. It's just like it sounds, a huge dump. Okay. All right. I'll not go too much further with that joke. All right. Okay. Introduction to basic cellular theory, cell towers. All right. Now, remember, oh man, Delphi is the gaslight of gaslights. I'm telling you. Okay. Networks provide service through cell towers known as base stations. Each base station has a global cell ID. The CGI, ECGI, global cell ID, is unique on the network and not duplicated. It's just like a fingerprint. The country code is always 310 for USA, and network code is specific to the provider. Okay, the LAC switch and cell site ID are obtained from the tower list for all carriers with the exception of Verizon. The CID is comprised of the tower and sector. Okay. Now, let's take a close look at this. A cellular phone is regularly surveying the radio frequency environment of the cellular provider to identify the cell tower and sector with the best radio frequency signal. Okay, so if you look at this, you'll see that we have radii here, basically, where there's several cell towers, and this particular phone is attempting to utilize the strongest radio frequency available to itself as it scans and decides which one to grasp onto. Okay. Now, you'll see here, when a cell phone connects to a tower to conduct an outgoing call or receive an incoming call, the phone provider maintains a record of that event. Okay. So, so what does this mean? That when the phone is seeking to connect and successfully establishes a connection in order to make or receive a call, the company has a record of each event. So it's not on the phone exclusively. It's also maintained by the company. And this right here is establishing terminology centered around full duplex communications. Okay, and it says full duplex communications allows communication in both directions simultaneously. Both cell phone and tower transmit and receives information using different radio frequencies. So you'll see here, from the tower to the phone, there's a radio frequency that's being broadcast. And in the blue, there's a graphic here that's denoting a radio frequency coming from the phone to the tower. Both are happening simultaneously. They're nested within each other. Okay. Now, CAST, historical cell site analysis. Cellular analysis tips. So, once a case or circumstance is established, determine the phone company and portability issues of the target phone. What services does the company offer? And that's why you saw earlier that considering the carrier is very important because everything is different for each carrier. So number 3 here are location-based services, triangulation, GPS ping, PCMD, true call or timing advance available. And then once you determine those particular factors as your starting point, you begin the necessary legal process. And then remember, it was showing that you would put together all of the other database law enforcement resources together onto a mapping program, and then use that mapping program relevant to the locations and towers. Okay. And it's suggesting here that you review the records in Excel or use other tools to verify you received what was requested. Okay. Look for last call at night, first call in morning, as well as most frequently used cell sites, most frequently. So, that, in other words, look at the patterns and make sure your bookends are proper. Just do a thorough job, determine cell sector, look for other involved subscribers called or calling that are in the same geolocation for possible leads. I mean, come on, this is basic. This is just basic thoroughness. Okay. Now, right here is a suggestion that you're setting up a tower list by combining 4 data points, which is a LAC switch, repo network element name, the cell number CID, the sector, and the azimuth orientation. Okay. Then you're importing the tower list, which would be the tower dumps, into the mapping program. You plot all the addresses from the crime and filter the call detail record by date and identify the towers utilized during the date and time of the crime. This is all what's being done. And then on the map, you're locating the sectors and the towers used during this date and time of the crime, and draw sector coverage area based on the azimuth orientation. Okay. And I'm sure some of you have seen some of that out here on the YouTubes and on the Reddits. And some people have began to do this out here in the civilian world, so to speak. Okay. What do we need? Date and time of the crime. Well, guess what? We got that. Okay. Location of the crime scene. We got that. Call detail records. We got that. Tower list for the cellular service provider. We got that. Okay, so here are the things that I would establish, and I wonder how this was done. Regarding crime scene, what sort of perimeter was established here? Because if we're considering the fact that these girls were left in a particular spot to be found in a particular spot on Ron Logan's, um, how large of a perimeter are we truly considering? Because let's say those girls had also been taken away at some point and had possibly been over a mile or two away from Ron Logan's. I would assume that in the case of the Delphi murders, a larger diameter should have been looked at as far as location. Okay, I would have suggested that a larger or wider or larger time frame be considered. Once again, I've said a number of times that we're having an extreme difficulty establishing accurate last proof of life, which means we're also having extreme difficulty placing some sort of front bookend to where we should be considering uh, the window for this time being committed to have been potentially established. And the problem with that, in my opinion, is that if you're being limited by the state's theory of the crime or Gray Hughes' theory of the crime or some fictional theory of the crime, you would limit that time to a very small window, which would approximately be 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the February 13th of 2017. However, in my opinion, if I were to back off and look at it and consider what I've been considering the past few years, I would look at it and say, well, I actually think we should probably go back to midnight or 1 a.m. on the 13th, all the way to 5 a.m. on the 14th. So I would widen that window quite a bit. Maybe even, I might even go to 24 hours prior. So I think I'm rambling at this point. Let's continue. All right. Okay, CastViz was created by the CAST team in conjunction with other government agencies that perform mapping analysis. CastViz is available free to law enforcement personnel and is located at ndacfbi.gov LE portal. The program can be downloaded to any official computer. Maps and analysis created by CastViz should not be taken to court without being validated for accuracy. Testimony should be only through a qualified expert. CastViz has the ability to quickly plot call detail records and tower data for lead generation and investigative purposes. Once you download CastViz, open the program and click on the help at the bottom right to access the CastViz guide. Please review this guide before contacting with questions. So I would ask the defense, has CastViz been made available to you? Did law enforcement, through the FBI particularly, create maps using CastViz? And are the maps that the defense is now in possession of, that was obtained through this discovery process, were those maps actually products of CastViz? Are these CastViz maps, or are these some other sort of distractions or I was going to say piece together type of maps that some podunk ISP or Carroll County sheriffs did, or does the defense actually have in its possession legitimate CastViz maps from the FBI regarding Delphi murders? I think that would be extremely important, and that's my word out to you, defense investigators. Please double check that you have CastViz maps. okay, because these would seem to be important. Remember earlier I was covering the fact that they are preloading and overmapping historical crime data, sex offender data, all sorts of data onto these maps, and then cross referencing the nexus with the place and time of the crime. So I think that would be important to have these cast viz maps regarding Delphi. Okay. And you see, there you go. Now, this is just an example. Any of those of you who are familiar with the Karen Reed case, you probably have seen this sort of thing before. Okay. So you see the high fidelity of what's going on here. I want you to be very clear, okay? All right, see the fidelity of what's going on here? Now, this is an example from this hypothetical or potentially, I don't know if was a real crime that was committed or it's a hypothetical, but you can see that they've used this map. So let's go back, okay? See, they have this data. There's this data pulled from that, okay? The towers, and now this has been mapped onto it where the crime scene is shown, and you have these calls. You see the calls on the left. All right. Now you're seeing that what's being shown is that drive testing or conducting a tower survey is a process of taking measures from various cell towers illustrating the radio frequency footprint. Drive testing provides the most accurate illustration of the cell's tower footprint. You see? So this is the on the graph. This is the on the graph, on the ground testing of the signal strength from the tower. So this method is utilized by all major cell providers to optimize the network, and the survey consists of engineering phones or a scanner. Okay, now this should have been done with Delphi. This should have been done with Delphi. Again, this should have been done. Green line indicates where the test equipment was in relation to the tower. Okay, dark shaded area indicates where the tower provides the best coverage compared. Whoops. There you go. Dark shaded area indicates where the tower provides the best coverage. Okay. Lighter shaded area illustrates what is commonly referred to as overlap. The phone could have been in this area and the tower could have processed the call. Okay. Now, plotting cell towers. Cell tower sectors, sector 1, 2, and 3, okay, alpha, beta, gamma. Now, 3 sector towers transmit signals through 3 separate sectors, each covering approximately 120 degrees. So this is just a basic educational showing you that each sector is separately transmitting, okay, covering each separate sector, okay, self-explanatory. So what they're establishing here is that as the investigator, they're going to go in there and they're going to determine which sector and which azimuth is being particularly accessed by this phone. Okay, so this is just suggesting that you can reference it as a clock. You know, I mean, come on. Now, here, this is better. This can be translated onto a map using the same concept. Determine the cell site and corresponding sector. In the example below, the sector is 240. The area is 60 degrees in either direction, and that's the coverage area. Okay. I'm sorry if I moved on too quick. Let me let you look at that for a second. All right. So this is the example teaching us how we should do it on a map, which we may have to do because, you know, these fuckers have lied to us. So, determine the proper azimuth orientation and draw the sector depicting the azimuth as in the center. Okay. For a traditional three-sided tower, it'd be 120-degree azimuth. The sector's estimated range is based primarily on the distance to the nearest neighboring tower in the direction of the azimuth. Urban areas with a higher density have smaller coverage areas, blah, blah, blah. And it says the actual radio frequency coverage can be mapped using a cellular survey gear or a drive test or even a phone. Okay? In my opinion, this needs to be done. I mean, unless we're going to get it served on a platter for our own independent review. Okay. Now, this is showing what the NDCAC is, the National Domestic Communications Assistance Center. Okay. It maintains the cell site databases. It has the portal that has a most current version of the CastViz mapping. It's staffed to assist the local law enforcement agencies with all of this. And it's a resource, okay? It's the FBI resource here for law enforcement. All right, now, this is the database of current archive tower list for all the cell phone companies where they can download the tower list by month and year. You get what I'm hinting at here? Okay. Can search for towers by specific area, specific tower, and this is basically telling us there's no excuse for ignorance, for not knowing, for not having the information. Okay. It's guiding the user through. All right. This is more. Okay. This is a number portability administration center where LEO can go in and request the information. All right. Other resources. Please screenshot this if you will. All right. You see this? Screenshot it. All right, go. Now, mapping in Google Earth Pro. All right, search for location. For instance, 2020 Newport Avenue. Got it. Okay, got it. The new placemark tool can be used to insert an icon at any location on the map. Okay. The ruler tool can be used to create a line or circle with a specific radius from a known location. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have to do this ourselves. Navigate to the student folder. Select Verizon Tower list on Google Earth. Data import wizard will help define the delimiters in the tower list in order to assign columns and rows for import. All right, you see that? This is using Google Earth. Latitude and longitude here. Okay, select finish. The data import dialog box will appear. Google Earth dialog box will appear. All right. Loading towers. Create a new template, select OK. Use the drop down to select the first column name. This is a column added by the instructor. So blah, 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 blah. Okay. This is what the map will look like. Okay, so you see what's going on here, where the phones are showing because they've established. Okay, let's go back to this one. So you see what happened was something was established here. Oh gosh, come on. I'll just go manually. Pardon the jumping. Remember? Okay, look at what was established. This cell tower here with the proper azimuth, the location. So once that was established, you go through those steps, you get this. Okay. Okay, so this is the elevation data subset. Okay. Now, location-based services and engineering data sets. Okay. AT&T. Nelos generates location event data via probes on the mobile network. Use cautiously. AT&T does not validate the results. AT&T messaging results can get content and photos if subscriber has a feature turned on. Mobile locate, triangulated coordinates of device based on timing advance or time of arrival, and if suspected radius emailed every 15 minutes. Remember that the story here with Liberty's cell phone was that AT&T was pinging it every 15 minutes. Okay. Are you getting mobile locate, triangulated coordinates of device based on timing advance or time of arrival, and suspected radius emailed every 15 to 30 minutes. Libby's phone was AT&T was being pinged every 15 minutes. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. Okay, and remember, it stopped at 5:45, 5:44. Exactly within a minute, a 3.5 millimeter jack was inserted into the headphone jack. Um, 4:33 a.m., which is exactly within a minute of the 4:32 a.m. newscast stating that members of the family and searchers had come back out. The phone, guess what? Begins pinging again. Anyway, I'm not gonna go on and on about it. It's not the point of this presentation here. Okay. E991 mobile locator tool. T-Mobile and AT&T offer law enforcement triangulation service as part of their enhanced 911 capabilities. Was this utilized in Delphi? Both services are considered network solutions and perform the same function. AT&T offers the mobile locator tool. Triangulation is a network's ability to use the timing advance or time of arrival positioning mechanism. Time of arrival positioning method is based on measuring the time of arrival or timing advance of a known signal sent from the cell phone and received at 3 or more measurement units towers. Well, this is where we encounter a very huge difficulty in Delphi. This is why the geofencing is not as accurate as one would hope in Delphi. Okay? This is why, like, keep in mind, let me be very clear from this point forward. In Delphi, it's only the GPS location data that will help us whatsoever. The cell phone triangulation data is so poor, the geolocation data is so poor that it's only a rough estimate of what we're looking at. Okay. But keep in mind, okay, doesn't mean we don't have that. We'll just keep going. Okay, common device analysis. Tower dumps are helpful when specific cell phone numbers have not been identified. However, they can be expensive. Cell phone providers only preserve CDRs for a limited time, yet tower dumps are retained longer. Tower dumps can provide a wealth of information regarding which phones were in a specific place and time. Okay, of course, you need the court order, search warrant. Specific crime, determine phones used in the area. That's called geofencing. Back to the subject of 3 phones. We have 3 phones. We have 3 phones in the area of the crime. 3 phones that are not the victim's phone. Preserve data in case future suspect develops. Narrow suspect pool based on knowledge. Outgoing call, 3-minute conversation, not an area after crime. Okay. Multiple crimes, different locations and times. Compare data received for a common number. So, what do I want to say about that? I'll give you a hypothetical. Let's say that they didn't know who was in the area at all. Tower dump gives you the list of names, or I should say, the list of phone numbers that are in the area. That's your tower dump. Okay, so you got your tower dump. You now have a list of names. Okay, so then you want to zoom in on that. So what you would do is you would then, from that list of names, you would try to obtain the GPS data for each phone that is most relevant. Okay. Events must be separated enough by distance to make tower dumps effective. Tower dumps can be uploaded and analyzed using CastViz. Oh, look at here, Chicago. I know Chicago well. Chicago is extremely dense area, right? Extremely dense. Okay, I'll just keep going past some of this. As you can see, these prices are negligible. Okay, these prices are negligible. Consider what you're getting. Okay, through investigation, many different types of identifiers may be obtained from the information received in a tower dump. This is where you really, really should pay attention. And I'm sorry if you guys are chatting it up. Uh, this is the thing that check this out real quick or screenshot it. Many different types of identifiers and information may be obtained apart from the information received in a tower dump. Following are some examples of identifiers you can use using CastViz to conduct a common analysis. Okay. Whew. IP addresses, MAC addresses, serial numbers, advertising IDs. That's part of what goes into the fog reveal. Remember, I was at some prior time this summer, I was discussing fog reveal as a option here. That would be specific to the advertising IDs, for instance, and Google IDs. The telephone numbers, ESNs, MEIDs, IMEIs, socials, and geofence warrants. Okay, so this CastViz mapping with the FBI can be used to cross-reference through all of these pathways, including the advertising IDs, the fog reveal information, the geofencing, triangulation data, and the GPS data. So there should be absolutely no fucking way on earth that there is any mystery about who was at that area, when they were there, where they went, where they came from, who it was, how they moved. Are you understanding? We've been lied to. Okay. Now, other investigative options. There are two types of exigent requests: voluntary disclosures and compelling a provider to provide records due to exigent circumstances. The following explains both of these methods. Okay. Voluntary disclosure. Uh, anyway, it gives the codes. Okay. And then there's a compelling. So, in other words, it's saying the common sense. It can be voluntary or compelled. Of course, the proprietary information from all of these Googles and Apple, etc., they usually require compelling. Okay, they're not very forthcoming, especially Apple. Okay, here's an example for Facebook. Okay, and look, let's be clear with these girls. Let's be clear with these girls for starters. These girls were all over social media. All over social media. They were discussing with boys. They were planning to meet boys that very day. So let's not fuck around here. Google, Apple, OnStar. Right. Cellular provider information. Whew. Okay, let's just look at AT&T for an example here. Okay, we've already said that They use the NALOS, generates location event data via probes in the mobile network. AT&T does not really vouch for the results or validate. Only if the feature is turned on. It's located by triangulation and every 15 to 30 minutes. And as I said, remember the stories of the family saying that it was pinging every 15 minutes. It stopped, and then at 4:30 a.m., boom, it started again. So that's a whole other conversation. You know, the same could have been done with Alan's phone. The same could have been done with Elvis Field's phone. The same could have been done with every particular POI's phone, and should have been done. Okay. Now listen, AT&T, 7 years retention for 7 years. Okay, look at it, 7 years. So now we're breaching that limitation. But at the time Alan was arrested, that we were still within that window of time. You understand what I'm getting at here? 7 years. Okay. Okay, preparing CDRs for use in mapping programs. AT&T, it tells you how to use in Google Earth and other programs or into CastViz. Okay. So easy, right? Easy. There's your instructions right there, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, Mudbug? Thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Okay. Now, I'm going to blast on through this now. You see it's all here. There's lots of data here. Okay. Call data records. Look at this. Includes the incoming, outgoing, complete, incomplete, and blocked calls. Okay. That means includes every single call. Every single. In other words, missed calls, incomplete calls, blocked calls, location. Very good. The SMS, all the sending, receiving info, but not the content. That's what you need the Celebrite extractions. That's what you need the actual extractions for, would be the actual content. But aside from content, there should be all the information, meaning no matter what Kelsey deleted from the phone, etc., the carrier should have had all the text messages regarding who sent, who received, when sent, terminated, location, etc., even if it's been deleted from the phone itself. Okay. And then the CDR data includes all the emails, web surfing, blah, 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 whether it's been deleted from the phone or not. So are you starting to understand what I'm saying? No matter what's been deleted from the phone or the accounts or the social media, there's data, there's SMS, and there's a voice records complete. Okay. That's with AT&T. Negligible cost, especially when you're talking about millions of dollars. This is negligible cost. Okay. Now check it out with the victim's phone here. GPS coordinates of phone. GPS. Okay. Now remember, we're talking about different things here. We're talking about geofencing and GPS precision data. Like I said, the geofencing or the triangulation data, the cell data, location specific in Delphi, it's horrible, it's inaccurate, it's rough estimates. The GPS data is precise. Okay. Now, keep in mind, look at it. Look at the top in orange or yellow. They will not testify to the accuracy of it. They will not testify. So there's a roadblock here. But like I said, does the defense have this information? And if so, I'll leave the rest to your imagination. Okay. These are the examples, of some of the data sets here. Okay. I'm just going to breeze on by this because we got to get through this. Okay, we're going to skip over Sprint, but you'll see okay. By using the data transfer rate between the cellular device and the tower, the cellular provider can approximate the signal distance between the tower and the cellular device using a round-trip delay measurement from the tower. Okay, this is not triangulation. All right. So timestamps are based on switch time. Sprint does not testify to the accuracy of these reports. This is available for approximately 2 weeks. Okay, so you see what I mean? It's another method here that's not triangulation. Okay. It's more like I would call that what's the word for it? Interferometry. So anyhow, pinging. Okay, this is the GPS ping from Sprint. This is the bottom line. That's not working out for you sideways. Okay, T-Mobile. Okay, sorry to I'm just going to fast forward through all of this stuff that's less relevant to us, but you know where it is. Okay. Okay. Whew. Now, that got us through that. Don't worry, it's not even close to over. Now, next up, we're going to... Okay, we're going to look at Kevin Horan. Now, remember, Kevin Horan is relevant. He's going to come up here shortly. Sorry, my thing is glitching here. Just give me a moment. All right. Jeez, I'm all glitched out. I don't know what happened to this thing. Okay, Kevin Horan. Well, I retired this week from the FBI after almost 27 years of service. Counting my prior time as an assistant prosecutor, I've got 32 years in the game. Hard to believe that much time has gone by, but I'm thankful for the memories, the people I've met, and the friends I've made. The FBI was very good to me. My future is now with my business, Precision Cellular Analysis, PCAexperts.com. PCA is a partnership of former FBI agents and task force officers who conduct cell record analysis, law enforcement training, and provide expert witness services. PCA has partnered with Substancio Academy for training purposes and has established contracts with prosecution offices to provide analysis and expert testimony. PCA is the only organization, listen up, the only organization outside of the FBI that provides true SME certification to law enforcement in the cell analysis field. Okay? Now, I want you to keep that in mind, okay? Keep this in mind here. And this is Mr. Kevin Horan, FBI, now owner of Precision Cellular Analysis, PCAexperts.com, partnership of former FBI who conduct cell analysis, and Expert Witness Services. Okay, he's in the business. So let's put it clearly. Mr. Kevin Horan is now in the business of expert witness services regarding cell analysis for prosecutor offices. Okay, do you understand his business, what I'm saying here? Okay. All right, so let's look at this now. Okay. This is called State's Response to Defense's Third Motion for Frank's Hearing. So third Frank's request. Now comes State of Indiana by McClelland and files its response to Richard Allen's third Frank's notice. The state has reviewed the defense's motion and believes the defense has misstated the facts in the motion. We respectfully ask the court to deny the motion without a hearing. Oh, don't worry, dickhead. Don't worry. This judge will give you anything you want. Matter of fact, what do you want for Christmas, McClelland? Because I'm sure Frigid Franny will happily have it expeditiously delivered to your door. Now, as we all know, the defense's third Frank's motion request was a bombshell. As a matter of fact, every single one of the defense's 4 requests for Frank's hearing were bombshells, including the 136-page memorandum that precipitated a barrage of harassment, stalking, combative tactics to take down certain YouTube creators. It created a whole scenario, a setup with the leaks involving Mitchell Westerman, who has now been basically pardoned, forgiven, all charges dropped, record expunged. We got a dead guy in the mix named Robert Kyle Fortson. A total fucking shit show because of the 136-page memorandum. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you new to the case, you might not realize that. It's been an entire disaster, a catastrophe. And it all began with the release of the Frank's memorandum. And we have 4 Frank's requests, all independently being of the nature of bombshells. The judge denied every single one, was extremely combative. The prosecutor tried to use the FBI as a obstacle in this whole discovery process. And so now we have the state here responding to this third Frank's request with a total gaslight, and is going to use Horan here. So you're going to hear this momentarily, but I just wanted you to I'm trying to lay some groundwork for you to begin to understand how Horan The geofencing data, the 3 phones, the whole thing is a complete shit show. It all goes back to this is a complete miscarriage of justice. This is a entire community attempting to railroad and bury this case, make it go away, which we know it's not going to happen. It's not going to work. It's never going to work. People care about this. The FBI cares about this. We care about the FBI. This is not the end of the road. This is the beginning of the road. We're going to have a new trial. There's going to be an appeal. Facts will come to the surface. The FBI has to know what's going on. Let's not kid ourselves here. This is the highest profile double homicide in the past 20 years. Let's be real here. The defense's third motion for Frank's hearing alleges that Tony Liggett failed to include information about geofencing data in the PCA for the search warrant for the residence of Richard Allen. The defense claims that if this information was included, the court would have not found probable cause to issue the search warrant. The defense seems to claim that the missing information is exculpatory as to Richard Allen. However, the information from the geofencing data is mischaracterized and misinterpreted by the defense. Well, I beg to differ, dickface. Even if it was included in the affidavit, the geofencing data would not negate, cancel, or eliminate the facts that supported the PCA. There were no facts that supported the PCA. Look, McClellan, I'm not reading this. Okay, I'm not really reading this to argue the validity of the points. So I'm going to try to get through reading this without countering every gaslight point of McClellan's making. But just know that it's hard for me to read a sentence and not clarify it for you because I don't want to mislead anyone. Unlike Nicholas McClellan, I don't want to mislead anyone here out in this world. We've already misled the 12 jurors and achieved it's just a travesty of justice here. But the defense seems to claim the blah, blah, blah exculpatory, but if included, the geofencing data would not negate. Well, I beg to differ. Okay. Further, Sheriff Tony Liggett did not intentionally lie or omit material information about evidence in an effort to mislead the judge in the search warrant affidavit. I beg to differ. That's the word I was looking for. Injustice. Thank you, Mariah. Yeah, I was going to say this is an injustice, but let me continue. The state of Indiana filed charges against defendant Allen in the cause of blah, 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 2 counts of murder, blah, blah, blah. The court appointed the defendant representation November 14, 2023. Okay. The defense filed its first motion for Franks on September 18th, 2023. And that's what I'm saying to sir, that after September 8th, 2023, an entire disaster precipitated in this community. Okay. We had a death of an individual. We had 50 YouTubers, okay, participate in a fraud or a scheme against the people of the United States of America. Okay. Every one of the ones who purchased, harassed, colluded, etc., regarding discovery and the leaks and all the combative measures that were utilized in response to the dropping of this September 18th, 2023 first Franks and the memorandum that accompanied it. It was an absolute nuclear bomb, and it caused absolute chaos in this community. If you have not learned about it yet, you will be. This is a conspiracy of the highest order. Let's be clear here. We're dealing with a cartel. Why is the state of Indiana participating in the facilitation of the cover-up against a cartel operating in the Midwest? One in which the Delphi murders is directly related. There was a supplemental for Frank's hearing filed October 2nd, 2023. Additional Frank's notice filed October 3rd, 2023. And there were even more Frank's post that. Okay. This, oh, yeah. The state has outlined the test used in Frank's for 2 prior responses. In order to have a Frank's hearing, the defendant's attack on probable cause must be based on deliberate falsehood or acts of reckless disregard for truth, and those allegations must be accompanied by an offer of proof. Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Liggett misrepresenting witness statements, omitting facts from the witness statements, like a 1965 Mercury Comet-looking vehicle, changing the clothing on witnesses, on the individuals seen by particular witnesses, okay, convoluting witness descriptions of both individuals and vehicles, okay, this is very important. And let me be clear. We will not stop talking about it. We will not. Conviction, no conviction. Every point we've ever focused on and everything we've highlighted, we will continue to highlight. We continue to believe. We continue to stand behind. We haven't misled you. We haven't been mistaken. We haven't learned different. Everything stands. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. The defense claims that Sheriff Tony Liggett concealed from Judge Diener that at least 3 phones were moving in and around the crime scene at the times when the murders would have been taking place. Yes, and that will be proven with GPS location data. Okay, we're not talking about geofencing. We're not talking about fog reveal. We're not talking about speculation, about he said, she said. We are talking about GPS data that will prove to you that indeed there were 3 phones malingering around the crime scene and the high bridge at the times when you say the murders would have been taking place. Two, the way that Lieutenant Holman memorialized his interview with Turco should cause alarm about what law enforcement chose to include or not include in their reports. Yes, because just like you used the FBI to try to obstruct justice, you tried to claim that you did not know the identity of Jeffrey Turco when you damn well knew the identity of Jeffrey Turco, and you damn well knew that it was important that the guards at Westville were wearing Odinist patches, because after you learned that the defense was onto the path of Odinism, you immediately went to Westville and had them remove those patches. Sorry, I'm getting a little irate. Okay, so here we're going to go with the gaslight. Sheriff Tony Liggett failed to make the judge aware that geofencing data showed at least 3 phones in and around the crime scene at the time of the murders. Yes, he did. But remember, we're reading McClelland's gaslight, so let's go. In our case, the defense is alleging that the crime was committed by several individuals involved in Odinism. No, let's back that up. The prof thinks that the crime was committed by several individuals involved in the manufacture and selling of methamphetamine in Carroll County. Odinism was included in the staging or something that looked like Odinism. If the defense focused on the report from Murphy, Ferenczi, and Click as a tip of an iceberg leading down in to the truth about what happened by these multiple perpetrators, it doesn't mean that the Odinists killed the girls. It doesn't mean that only those individuals had some connections to the potential criminal element that committed this crime. It means that they were the tip of an iceberg, the result of law enforcement product of an in-depth investigation by Ferenczi, Murphy, and Click, who have all paid dearly for their actual work in this direction. I'm losing my mind. Okay, let me calm down. The defense has filed several motions with this theory, of course, because it comes directly from ISP FBI. The defense continues to promote this theory to the public with no evidence to support the theory. No, sir. The defense was urging the court to allow a defense to be presented for Richard Allen, and the court obstructed justice by not allowing a defense to be presented for Mr. Richard Allen. He then calls them liars. The defense has come to the point where they're making false statements in their motions in a continued effort to support the theory. Yes, because that would be productive for the defense. Can we get out of here, please? Can you get the fuck out of here? This is one of those occasions. Oh, really? Well, we're about to find out, aren't we? The defense claims that the geofencing data shows 3 phones in the area of the crime scene when the murders occurred. Yes, it does, because it happened. The defense admittedly speculates that a map with 3 phone numbers is geofencing data that proves or provides evidence of any 3 scenarios, that people were walking around witnessing the murders and none of them identify Richard Allen, which is a fact. 2, the persons walking around saw nothing and the murders did not happen February 13th, 2017, which could be a fact. Or 3, the person walking around committed the murders, which also could be relevant. All we know, you've got 3 phones that are right there when you say something bad is happening. Neither of them are Richard Allen's. Neither of them are the victims. This, of course, promotes the defense's theory. Unfortunately, defense do not understand how to read or interpret geofencing data. Oh, I think they would understand how to interpret GPS data. See, this is the gaslight. So he's already called them liars. Now he's calling them ignorant or stupid. I think our cokehead is a stupid idiot, thinking that he could get away with a scheme like this. And yes, I said it. So Laura, when you cry about it tomorrow, make sure you go cry on his shoulder or perhaps his lap. The defense was advised on March 4th, 2023, that the state witnesses specializing in geofencing data would be, okay, pay attention here. I'm sorry. I got a little emotional. I got sidetracked. The state witnesses specializing in geofencing data would be ISP First Sergeant Christopher Cecil, FBI Agent Kevin Horan, and or ISP Sergeant Pete Glagoza. However, the defense filed their 3rd motion for Frank's hearing based on newly discovered evidence that was available during the first discovery disclosure in October 2023 and the second discovery disclosure after counsel was reinstated. The state witness for geofencing data interpretations would testify that AT&T collects data from devices to include geolocation data. Well, we just read, okay, I just educated you all on AT&T specifics regarding the cell data. So let's continue here. AT&T geolocation data information is gathered from 3 sources: GPS first, known Wi-Fi triangulation location seconds, and cell sites or timing advance, which occurs when a signal is sent from the cell tower to the device and back to the tower. GPS, if received, can be very good with an estimated accuracy of range of 3 to 15 meters. I would say so. Wi-Fi or triangulation estimated ranges vary between 15 and 100 meters. Yeah. And cell sites or timing advance can range up to several thousand meters. Yeah. The cell sites or timing advance is inaccurate because the geofencing data estimates where the phone is based on how long it takes the signal to go from the tower to the cell phone and back again. This means that the device can be 3 to 15 meters from the pinpoint on the map to several thousand meters. No, you see, there's the gaslight. That's the convolution. That's the convoluted spin. You notice, I've noticed McClellan does this a lot. He puts the spin in the final sentence. So he stated accurate, spin. Okay, so there's the spin. This means the device accuracy can be from 3 meters to several thousand. No, sir. No. This means that the GPS data will be very, very accurate. The GPS data will put you in easy eye shot. So if we have GPS data of 3 phones at the crime scene or under the bridge at the time these murders are allegedly taking place, we have accurate data. To say that that is a variable anywhere from 3 meters to several thousand meters is trying to confuse the court, trying to confuse the public. When interpreting geolocation data, you can only consider that the device is somewhere in or near the estimated range. Like I said, it depends on which absolute set you're looking at. If you're looking at GPS, it's different than looking at the timing advance or the triangulation. And we've just looked at all of that. Not only that, we have the PDF if we need to go quick reference it. I'm going to skip ahead a bit. Get to the important point here. The map that the defense refers to is actually the geofence data from AT&T. The points on the map represent GPS longitude, latitude points provided as part of a geofence from AT&T. Each longitude, latitude point has a range of uncertainty. The point is not where the phone is. It is simply the center point of the measurement, which means 3 to 15 meters from each center point. Dick wad. You see, when we look at things, we look at them soberly. We look at them with accuracy, with discernment, with critical thinking. Okay, so if we're looking at specific GPS pinpoints, we're looking at a handful of meters range. Okay, if we're looking at the timing data, then we're looking at a further range. And if we're looking at the triangulation, we're looking at different. We know that there's a distinction to be made. We're not convoluting or spinning or twisting or confusing the three. The points have no date time associated with them on the map, so the map does not indicate with the date and time the phone hit on the pinpoint. Yes, but all we have to do is cross-reference that with the data from AT&T to get that time. The defense's conclusion that 3 devices were found in or near the murder scene location at the time of the murders and what geofencing data means is an inaccurate evaluation or interpretation that is not supported by an analysis by someone with specialized training or knowledge of the geofencing data. The defense's conclusion fails to consider that the estimated range of those devices in the AT&T records or how the pinpoint data was collected. Further, although the phones may have a pinpoint on the map that is in or in the area of the crime scene, the actual phone could be several thousand meters away. No, once again, you're spinning it. Now, this is the interesting point, okay? Because this is where he adds the lanyap, the extra. Okay, so consider this. Defense further fails to state that the owners of those phones were interviewed and cleared by investigators. Wait. I thought that Douglas Carter, ISP superintendent, specifically made the statement that we haven't cleared anybody. So, McClelland, who's correct? Is it ISP Superintendent Douglas Carter who says no one's cleared? Or is it your investigators who says those owners of those phones have been cleared? How are we to trust any of your product? You've lost 70 days of important investigative material. You don't have any of the family's cell dump data. You didn't test for any male DNA. Any female DNA on those bodies. You didn't even test the hair in the dead victim's hand until forced to do so at the very last minute when trial was starting. You didn't ever care about female perpetrators. You didn't ever test for female perpetrators. You never looked at the family. So you never looked at females. You never looked at DNA of anyone other than the males who you wanted to target. You have unknown male DNA. You have unknown female DNA. You have a hairs. You have multiple hairs that you've never tested. And we're supposed to believe that all of that makes you credible and that there should be a level of trust coming that you're afforded. Believe me, trust for the Indiana State Police or the Carroll County Sheriff's Office or anyone in the region is at an all-time minimum. It's virtually non-existent. There's only a modicum of trust for the FBI at this point. So again, the owners of those phones were interviewed and cleared by law enforcement, although Douglas Carter says we haven't cleared anybody. The defense should be required to provide reliable statements. Well, I think it does. I think it does. I think it does. I'm going to skip the part about Turco. Okay. I can't handle too much more reading tonight, but there's a lot more to come. So it gets worse. Okay. So now we're going to pull up what's called specifically defense's reply to prosecution's response to Third Frank's memorandum. You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. So this is the reply to the previous document. It's like we're spinning in circles because of the gaslighting and lying and straight up misrepresentation by a prosecutor. Okay, so this is the defense's reply to prosecution's response to Third Frank's. All right. Now, I'm going to skip ahead because there's a lot here. Let me see. I'm going to skip ahead. Pardon me. Okay. Just a moment. Okay, I'm just going to read some of this because it's good. The defense would not expect Tony Liggett or any law enforcement officer to voluntarily admit that he either intentionally provided false information or omitted information with reckless disregard of the truth. Good point. Yeah, of course they wouldn't admit it. Even Douglas Carter wouldn't admit it. See, here's the problem. Then blue line. Then blue line is your problem. Because Tony Liggett is not likely to freely admit that he provided false information or omitted information with reckless disregard of the truth in order to prevail at this preliminary stage, the defense has provided evidence in Franks 1, 2, 3, and 4, and throughout the investigation, and even after charges were filed, that law enforcement has provided false information and attempted to conceal information. If this court expects or requires law enforcement to admit intentionally or reckless disregard for the truth, then a Franks hearing is nothing more than a legal fiction. Great point. Amazing point. Amazing point there. In providing evidence of law enforcement and prosecution attempts to conceal evidence throughout the case, the defense is providing the court with the opportunity to reach the logical conclusion that if law enforcement and the state of Indiana has attempted to conceal information in 2023, then it's reasonable to conclude that law enforcement also concealed evidence or provided false information intentionally or with reckless disregard of the truth in 2022. And that's what I'm saying. Trust is at a minimum. It's virtually non-existent. Okay. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead. Well, let me finish this, actually. The defense has provided evidence that throughout the history of this case, but particularly in 2023, law enforcement and the prosecution have presented false information and attempted to conceal evidence. Again, the purpose of providing said evidence is to provide the court the ability to question law enforcement's intentional or reckless disregard of the truth in 2023. That would cause the court to believe law enforcement would have acted similarly in 2022, especially when it's all the same individuals. Remember, law enforcement is a generic term. What's specific are the people. The people are the same. The people are the same. The people are the same. The people of law enforcement are people. They can't hide behind the LE, the uppercase L, the uppercase E. If we just call it that, we're ignoring the fact that we're talking about specific people. And those specific people in 2023 are the same specific people who were there in 2022. Below, okay, I'll skip that. Now let's go to this. This gets good. Okay, this gets good, but it's going to be a while. All right. We're going to go over to G. I'm looking for G. Okay, so let me get to G. There we go. Is that G yet? Or did I skip it? That's A, B, E, D, F. Okay, G's next. There we go, G. Included in this discovery, which was received nearly 10 months late, was Liberty's phone dump. including the famous Down the Hill video. This phone dump contained very interesting information that the defense had approximately 1 month to investigate before the prosecutor requested the defense be kicked off the goddamn case. The defense should have had this key piece of evidence. Yeah, don't you think one of the first things the defense should have received was the original video from Libby's phone? Don't you think? On or about October 6, 2023, the defense received geofencing evidence. The prosecutor requested the defense kicked off the case only days after it received this evidence. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to get into that obstruction of justice later, too. After the Indiana Supreme Court reinstated the defense team, the defense team received the geofencing data in the form of charts and a map on about January 30th, 2024. Think how insane that is. When was Richard Allen arrested? Okay. When did the defense receive this? January of 2024. That's this year. Because of the prosecutor's late discovery of the geofencing evidence before getting kicked off the case, the defense only had the geofencing evidence for 6 days before this court ordered the defense to stop working on the case. Again, 10 months late. After getting back on the case, the defense has just now had 2 months to analyze this important evidence, along with all the other evidence it has received. The defense should have had this evidence on or before December 2022. And therefore, it's doing its best to analyze this geofencing data and has based its interpretation of said evidence on its technology expert who is providing opinions without the benefit of law enforcement reports that interpret the data. That's what I was referring to earlier as the cast mapping. It appears that law enforcement has not written a single report that interpret their geofencing data. Oh, isn't that rich? You know who wrote it? Kevin Horan over at FBI. This court has since denied funds for the defense technology expert to conduct further analysis on the geofencing evidence. Attempts to understand the geofencing data, the defense asked for any reports from law enforcement that interpret the data and map the defense located in discovery. The prosecutor claims that no reports or notes exist related to geofencing, but the defense can't be sure. In the past, the prosecutor told the defense that no notes or reports existed as related to Liberty's phone dump, only to then be handed notes from the prosecution's law enforcement expert minutes before the deposition began. Are you picking up a pattern here? Giving the defense little or no time to incorporate those notes into its deposition preparation. When the defense asked for the names of the geofencing expert that the prosecution would call, the prosecutor initially refused to identify their expert, claiming it was not his job to provide that information. Bro, are you picking up a combative nature of this prosecution? The prosecutor then stated he would talk to his investigator, Steve Cover-Up Mullen. Then, rather than simply identify the law enforcement officer who analyzed the geofencing evidence, the prosecutor provided the names of 4 possible experts, but refused to identify which one was their geofencing expert that had actually analyzed the evidence. Now, apparently in his response motion, the prosecutor is claiming that there are 3 geofencing experts he might use. Yeah, that was an attempt to confuse, okay? Remember, it's the 3 names I just read to you, Cecil, Horan, and the other officer. But he knew the whole time it was Horan. Okay? But has still not identified which expert put the map together or provided him the information he used in his response brief. In his response motion, the prosecutor also provides purported information that he has apparently obtained from one of 3 law enforcement officers who apparently has analyzed the data and relayed that information to the prosecutor, thus providing proof that the prosecutor has actually known the name of this exact geofencing expert who will be explaining law enforcement's interpretation of the data, but has refused to provide the name of that specific geofencing expert to the defense when he knew the whole time it was Kevin Horan. See, he was using the FBI as an obstacle to transparency. Rather than simply identifying the proper law enforcement officer for the defense to depose concerning the geofencing evidence, again, evidence that the prosecutor provided 10 months late, though that individual who put the map together, the prosecutor continues to conceal the identity of the actual expert, only narrowing it down to the possible 3 fucking people. The defense has no way of knowing if anything the prosecutor claims concerning the interpretation of the geofencing data is correct because no reports have been provided that would substantiate the prosecutor's claims that in his response to the 3rd notice that we just read prior to this. All right. Please note on pages 2 and 3 of his response brief that the prosecution has failed to provide the name of a single authoritative report that supports his claims as to the accuracy or inaccuracy of the geofencing data, while the defense has provided 126 exhibits to back up their claims in Frank's 1 alone. Yes, that's what I mean by McClellan tried to confuse the judge and the defense by claiming that there's no difference between 3 meters and thousands of meters in the data, as implying that it's all a mishmash and not acknowledging the fact that there's a difference between the 3 formatting of subsets of the geofencing. Apparently, the prosecution simply expects this court to rely on and believe in their claims. Yes, that's called he's lying to her. She's down with it. They're buddy-buddy. It's you scratch my back, I scratch yours. You ask for it and wink, and I give it to you. It's a whole setup. And it's extremely clear to the general public out here. And had we been allowed cameras in the courtroom, there would be even more that would be extremely clear to us. Okay. Again, he provided not a single shred of proof whatsoever that his claims are true because they weren't true. Again, juxtapose this fact with the 126 exhibits, okay, to back up their claims throughout the 3 Frank's notices. Now there's a 4th. At this time, the state of Indiana has provided to the defense a map constructed by someone that shows 3 phones in the area where the bodies were found, moving in and around the crime scene at the time that the murders would have been taking place according to the state's timeline. Someone took the time to take that data and construct a map using the CAS system, using only those 3 phones. Remember, because there was a process of elimination and it was determined that those 3 phones indeed were important, indeed were there, and indeed were malingering around the High Bridge and the crime scene at the time the murders were allegedly taking place. And the excuse is that they've been cleared. For some reason, the author of that map only focused on 3 phones. The coordinates provided by the state of Indiana do in fact provide the times that the phones were in the area, despite claims made by the prosecutor in his response motion. Remember, again, he lied. He was twisting. He put a spin on it. In his response motion, McClellan claims that the owners of the phones found on the geofencing map in and around the crime scene were interviewed and dismissed as suspects or cleared, to use his verbiage. The defense has requested the state of Indiana to provide any report, video, or document memorializing any of those interviews of those persons whose phones were found on the map. The state of Indiana has not provided the information or indicated where such information may be found in the discovery. How about a statement from the investigators as to why they're allegedly cleared? And how about an excuse from Douglas Carter as to why he says no one's been cleared? Oh, but that's too much to ask for. It's only someone's life at stake here. Until the defense can depose the correct geofencing expert and analyze the geofencing expert's reports, the defense can only base its conclusions on what the state of Indiana has provided to the defense thus far. The defense has made it very clear in its third Frank's notice that it did not have any reports or information that contradicted its belief that the 3 phones were in the area of the murders, but that the defense could be convinced otherwise once the prosecution provided more information on the name of its geofencing expert, and then to depose that expert and get some clarity or some clarifying reports and some actual clarity on why you say that something that's apparently potentially important has zero importance. Additionally, because the defense has no further funds for an expert, blah, 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 geofencing is very complicated. It's a complicated discipline and requires experts to train the attorneys so that they can ask good probing questions that will then help the lawyers and jury understand better the geofencing evidence. In his motion, the prosecutor assailed the defense's attempts to understand the geofence. Yeah, remember he called them stupid and he called them liars with nice legal words. The defense freely admits that they are lawyers and not geofencing experts, and furthermore, wish that they had accessibility to experts like the prosecution that could be called at no cost and consulted with on a moment's notice. The defense would ask this court to ignore the state of Indiana's claims, blah, 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 blah. Good job. Okay. Now, let's move on because we're still not done. Where do we go next? Okay, I'm telling you where we go next. Let's see. Here's where we're going to go. Okay, pardon me for a moment. This is Christopher Cecil's testimony at the hearing on the motion in limine, okay, on August 1st. All right, now, remember this is quite extensive here, so we're going to skip ahead a bit. Let's see where I need to go. We're going to go to page 6. Okay, page 6. All right, now this is McClellan talking with Cecil. First Sergeant Cecil. Okay, now this is in reference to the victim's phone. Can you take a look at the report and tell me the time when the video started on the High Bridge? Video starts February 13th, 2017 at 14:13:51 or 2:13:51 p.m. And was there a location or GPS location associated with that video? So when the video initially starts, the GPS geolocates kind of over near the Delphi High School. But then within a matter of seconds, it comes back to the Monon Trail. That's where it goes. And were there pictures on the Monon High Bridge Trail taken before the video? Is that correct? Yes, sir. And were you able to recover those pictures? Yes. And those pictures have GPS coordinates with them. Is that correct? The pictures don't, but there when the Snapchat's being used, there are GPS locations when Snapchat's being used. Okay? And so there are pictures taken through Snapchat, and you're able to get a GPS location through Snapchat for those pictures? Yes. Okay. And they show the pictures were taken on the Monon High Bridge as well? Yes. And were you able to examine the pictures and the video? Is that correct? Yes. And in both the picture and video, does it portray or show Abby Williams? Yes. Is she wearing the same clothing? Yes. And so you're confident the video is taken at the same time and location as the picture? Yes. And again, give me the time of the video. So the time is 2:13:51 p.m. on February 13th. And when does it end? It ends 43 seconds later. Okay, let's stop. Already, there are glitches in this story he's telling. But we're going to get further into it. But just be aware, the glitches are already starting. Okay, let's see. Were you able to track the movement on the phone after that? Correct. And that is through internal functioning or through internal GPS of the phone? Well, it has to do with Apple Health data. Okay. And you're able to track that, the movement of the phone, right? Right. So I'm not tracking GPS. I don't know where that phone went. I'm tracking movements. Yes. At some point, does the phone stop moving? Yes. When is that? The phone stops moving the same date, February 13th, 2017 at 14:32, 2:32 p.m. And through your analysis, have you been able to tell, did the phone move after that? No, it did not. Okay, so be aware, we're putting a pin here. 2:32 p.m., his claim is that the phone does not move after 2:32 p.m. Got it? Do you know how long did the phone stay on? My understanding for my examination, I'm currently still in the process on, it stayed on until sometime after 4:30 in the morning. Well, that's another glitch. Okay, another lie. Okay, we'll clear that too. All right. And so from 2:32 p.m. until 4:30 a.m. on February 14th, the phone never moved? Correct. That's the claim. Okay, that's the claim. And do you know where the phone was ultimately found? My understanding, it was found underneath one of the girls. Okay. Now, let's skip ahead. I'm trying to expedite this whole thing. Okay. Okay, so this is Miss Auger speaking with Cecil now, cross examination, saying, and the Apple Health data, does it show Liberty German's phone leaving from Liberty's home to the, do you have a map? Okay, did Apple Health show Liberty's phone moving from her home over to the location where they got out of the car and got onto the high bridge, walked onto the high bridge? I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. Well, what wasn't clear about that, dumbass? You said the cell phone tracks movements, correct? Correct. And it shows movement when people walk. Yes. It doesn't necessarily show movement if you're in a vehicle traveling down the road, correct? The only way it could is if for some reason it would detect a movement as if you went over a bump, right? Okay, so it doesn't show any movement of LG's phone leaving from her home to the trail that day when they were in the vehicle, correct? And you're referring to the Apple Health data, correct? Yes. No, it doesn't. Pardon? It does not. The Apple Health data does not show the phone leaving from Liberty's home going to the trail. Okay. Are you familiar with the area around the south end of the Monon High Bridge? No, ma'am, I've never been there. I only know what I've seen on the news reports. Even Prof has been there, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not Indiana State Police. And I'm not testifying in a trial of a double murder of two little girls. And I'm not an alleged expert of how this phone is behaving. Okay. Are you aware that between the south end of Monon High Bridge and the location where the bodies were found, there is an access road? I did not know that. Some expert. The Apple Health data, the number of steps, the distance could have gotten those girls to somewhere on that access road. Is that correct? Not necessarily. But it's not wrong. It's not right. You just don't know. Correct. You're right. I don't know. It's a possibility. Possibility. Now, would you agree with me, Sergeant Cecil, that different information is transmitted to an iPhone by different measures? Does that make sense? Okay, then we go through a whole fucking rigmarole about nitpicking semantics. Okay, so let's forward ahead. So there's all kind of bullshittery that goes on. Let's go to page 13, number 11. Okay. To be clear, your testimony is that the distance traveled with would be accurate as far as number of steps. I'm telling you what I've learned. I'm not saying that I know for a fact. And would you agree with me, hearkening back to your testimony 2 minutes prior, if one individual has a different stride than another, then his number of steps will be different than the amount of distance traveled. Okay. Now, your gray key report that you did in 2019, or your report you did in 2019, do you recall that? You mean my written report? Your written report. Okay. It was admitted as an exhibit. It's labeled as Defendants 1, but I don't know. Okay. So I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defendants RRR. Okay. This is a gray key report. So this is my written report, my digital forensic report I wrote back in 2019. Okay. And you paid a lot of attention to that given the fact this is a double homicide, right? Yes. I'm sure you've given attention to everything you do. Yes. And if you could, look at page 10, the last line. Yes, ma'am. Well, I want to back up to the middle of the page first. There's an all caps. It says LG. There's a little notation there. I don't know what it is. 38A158. Do you see that? Yeah. The LG tilde 38A. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Tilde. Okay. It's a picture of the Monon High Bridge, and it's a picture that was uploaded to Snapchat. And the picture is like if somebody would be standing in front getting ready to walk across it. Yeah, it's called the empty bridge photo. That is a piece of bullshit staged evidence. Uh-oh, I'm getting mad. Let me calm down. We're going to be looking at that momentarily. Don't worry. Okay. Okay. Holy smokes. I see this, ladies and gentlemen. This is where my head starts to explode because I lose my mind. I get angry. I don't like being lied to. I don't like being gaslit. And when you get into this specific area right here, it makes tempers flare. It makes the head explode. It makes the anxiety go up, the blood pressure go up, the cortisol. It makes the disgust. It makes the wanting to punch someone in the face. It makes everything like just twist up inside my body. Okay. Let's make sure we're on page 15 here. Okay. Back to line number 3 here. It's a picture of the Monon High Bridge. And it's a picture that was uploaded to Snapchat. And the picture is like just like somebody would be standing like in front, like you're getting ready to walk across it. Okay? Are you understanding? So this is not the picture of an empty bridge that you've just crossed. This is the picture of the empty bridge that no one even crossed yet, like you're about to cross. So keep in mind where this person is standing taking this photo. And I'm going to show you what's marked as Defendant's Exhibit SSS, okay? Is that the photo you're referring to? It's not this exact one because that one's got some, it's got that written up there. Okay, right. All right. Is there a phone or a picture that you've learned of that you could not find on Liberty German's phone? Yes. What was that? That was the picture of Abby Williams walking across the bridge. And it's kind of taken off, like off at an angle. And that was posted on her Snapchat account. So my understanding from social media is that's what it was. And I was asked to try to see if I could find that by investigators. And could you not find that? I could not find it. I want to stop there because this is going to come back around, okay? In other words, what he's saying is that he could find the photo taken of the empty bridge before you even cross it with a GPS tag from Snapchat proving time, place, account. What he's also saying is he could not find from Snapchat the photo of Abby on the bridge with the GPS, with the timestamp, or on the user's account. So this, we're not just talking about the phone, we're talking about Snapchat and the phone. Okay. So in the last line, on February 13th, 2017, at 22:32:26, I wrote, last recorded data received by iPhone. The iPhone battery was likely depleted. Well, we know that's now to be a falsehood. Okay, we know that to be a falsehood because now we know that the phone turned back on at 4:33, which means the battery was not depleted. Okay, so he's assuming in his report, he's speculating that the battery had been depleted. Let's keep on. And what was the last data you mean was received? I'm looking at the data for that day, and this, as I testified in my deposition, this was a mistake. I made a mistake. I didn't calculate other things. I wasn't looking into February 14th. Okay, but even if we don't look, so what you're saying now today, when you said May 15th, is that you don't believe the phone's battery was likely depleted. Right. Okay, good. So everyone clear on that? The battery was not depleted. Okay. Did you also make a mistake when you said last recorded data received by iPhone? Yes, I did. Okay. When you said that, what data were you referring to? If you look on the next page right here where I talk about it, it says after the phone, it stopped recording. It continued to function, meaning it's still powered on. I found no evidence the user physically interacted with the phone. Oh, isn't that odd? Because we now know, yes, someone did physically interact with that phone. Someone interacted with the headphone jack. But we'll be getting back to that. The phone continued to receive messages, iMessages, SMS messages, FaceTime calls, mobile calls, and other similar communication. In addition, several applications updated in the background. The attack activity continued until the phone battery was depleted. That's what I put in there. That's what I was referring to. Okay. You were referring to a particular piece of data that you believe the phone received at 22:32:26? I don't remember. I don't know. Would you agree with me that an iPhone receives data in different ways or messages in different ways? That's very broad. Okay, then we go into this whole bullshit between iMessage and it's infuriating. Trust me, go read it yourself. Okay. Next page. Okay, do you agree with me if Liberty German's cell phone receives 0 SMS messages between 4:06 p.m. on the 13th and 4:33 a.m. on the 14th? I'd have to look at that. but we talked about it in deposition, right? But recall vaguely, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Okay. Can you tell me how many SMS messages did the phone receive between 4:06 p.m. on the 13th and 4:33 a.m. on the 14th? There's 15 of them. Okay. Now, so basically, there's all kind of nitpicking. But the point is that we get a 4:33 a.m. So I'm going to read line 22 on page 20 here. McClellan says, if it helps, the state's willing to concede that there were messages that came in at 4:33 a.m. Okay, if it helps to move things along. Okay. And then Ms. Auger says, I think the number is important, Your Honor. Okay. So I'm looking at this with magnet, okay, and then there's one call that is that magnet has not parsed. I'm looking at it with Celebrite, okay, and can you show which one that is? It's number 3 when it says, I think it says Becky Patty Marchand. For some reason, that entry is not here. Again, this is the reason why you got to use multiple forensic tools because they put everything together. I've only got one of them open right now. Celebrite takes a bit to load on my computer. Magnet's pretty fast, so I'm trying to be efficient here for the court. But those ones are fine. We're here. Okay. So if we look at Defendant's Exhibit TTT, that shows 15 SMS messages on Liberty German's phone. But you're saying you think that the number 3 didn't go through for some reason, the one titled Becky Patty Marchand. And in fact, that box is blank. And it says, what does it say there? Unknown? So what I'm saying is Celebrite may have parsed it again. You're going off something I didn't do, but actually when I'm looking at it with a completely different separate tool, it's not showing it here. So I would have had to pull up Celebrite and compare it to see if Celebrite parsed it. How about this? Can we agree, First Sergeant Cecil, that Liberty German's phone received at least 14 SMS messages at 4:33 a.m.? Yes. Okay. And do you agree with all of the 4:33 SMS text messages at the top of the page other than perhaps line number 3? You agree that Liberty German's phone received all of the text messages that this document shows other than perhaps the one on line number 3, Becky Patty Marchand? Yeah. I'd have to do more analysis. Okay, thank you. Now, what was the last SMS message received by Liberty German's phone on February 13th, 2017? From what Magnet is showing is that on February 13th, 2017, at 22:48:22 or 10:48:22 p.m. was the last SMS message. Okay. Would you agree with me that Defendant's Exhibit TTT does not show that SMS message? Okay. Okay. So your data is even different than Brian Bunner's data from 2017. Yes, because Brian Bunner, after he did his exam several days later or weeks later, he connected to the network to do an iCloud dump of Liberty's phone, which would have automatically brought in some of the data here. This is the reason why this is here. Okay. Let's go back to the SMS messages. Those are time-stamped by the phone as of the time they are received by the phone, correct? What Magnet and Celebrite are doing is they're pulling. That's not my question. Okay. When an SMS message appears on a cell phone, it appears timestamped as of the time it's received by the cell phone, correct? No. I just had my phone in airplane mode and received a text message, and it was sent. I received it. When I opened it up, it showed me when my daughter sent it to me. An SMS message, an iMessage. Those are different. Same thing. No, an iMessage is timestamped as of the time it's sent, correct? It goes through the Apple server, goes through the internet, and those are timestamped as of the time they're sent, correct? When they're sent, if you're texting me and you send a text, when you're sending it to me. So you see how the whole bullshit confusion pops up again about the difference between iMessage and SMS? It's infuriating. All right. So let's move to this line number 6. The relevance is First Sergeant's going to get there in his deposition. It's in there. An SMS message is timestamped as of the time it's received by the phone, and an iMessage is timestamped as of the time it's sent by the other phone. And so the relevance is, even though people were sending Liberty's text SMS messages, she didn't receive those until 4:33 in the morning, meaning her phone is not connected to a tower between 5:44 and 4:33 a.m. Okay. So the relevance is something changed at 4:33 in the morning to make that cell phone connect with the tower. Okay, then the judge gets combative, and then let's skip ahead to this next. This is called, these are the notes. Okay. These here are the notes from trial. Okay, so what you were just listening to, remember that was August 1st in the hearing on the motion in limine. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to get to the trial here. Let's. All right. So let's move on to what's important here. You guys are going to love it if you haven't already heard it. Many of you have, because we've covered this. I mean, we've already done this. Okay. But we'll do it again. Apple Health. Now pay attention. Here's the bullet points about the Apple Health data on Liberty's phone. From 1:30 p.m. to 2:08 p.m., 1,682 steps. Okay. Reset that button in your mind. I know it's been a lot we're going through. So hit the reset. All right, here's where we are. The approximate time when all of this is starting at the trails. You got it? Okay, good. Got it. Approximate time everything's starting. Bingo. From about 1:30 to 2:08, Liberty's phone moves 1,682 steps. Okay. Then between 2:08 and 2:18, it travels 414.38 meters. Well, remember you guys, these are the times that the alleged Snapchat and Bridge Guy video occur. All right, so keep that in mind. Bookend it with that. Between Snapchat and Bridge Guy, 414.38 meters. Then the very interesting point. From 231 to 232, a movement equivalent to 2 flights of stairs elevation change, and boom, phone stops moving permanently. 2:32 p.m. was the last record of movement of the phone. Got it? All right, so let's clarify a little something here. I think I got to go to page. There we go. Middle of the page here. At 1:38 p.m., remember this is the same point approximately when the other motion, according to Apple Health data. According to Gray Key, at 1:38, there's a phone call made while the phone is charging and Snapchat being used. 1:41 p.m., Snapchat picture posted. He was able to find the corresponding Snapchat image in Snapchat app. Okay. 1:43:59, basically 1:44 p.m., there's another Snapchat posted. This is the one that was the first exhibit from the state. The selfie taken in the car that Libby took that shows Abby sitting in the back seat behind her. Have you guys sensed a conflict yet? Let's go back to this. (1:30 to 2:08), 1,682 steps. You get it? 1:30, 2:08, 1,682 steps. So how in the world (1:44), selfie in car, Abby in back seat. Okay, you get it? So are you telling me that from 1:44, 1:45 at a minimum? Okay, so say 1:45 to 2:08, there's 1,682 steps? Okay. Are we back on this page yet? Yes. Okay. 141, 145, 144. Okay, now we're at 2:05. Snapchat of empty bridge. Okay, got it? 2:05. Snapchat of empty bridge. Remember, this is predicated by 1,682 steps. Okay, so you got empty Snapchat. Pew. Right before that, 1,682 steps in a short period of time. Okay. Now, 2:07, last time phone is unlocked. Okay, 2:07. Remember, between 2:08 and 2:18, there's 10 minutes of 414.38 meters. Here's where it gets really fucking weird. Really fucking weird. (2:13:51). Video recorded on the bridge guy video, 43 seconds. 2:14, unsuccessful biometric unlock. 2:32, remember, phone stops moving. So what happened? 414 meters. No. No movement recorded after that 2:32. And oddly enough, at 10:32, last data, until 4:33 a.m. Well, interesting thing. That lines up absolutely perfectly with the unplugging of the headphone jack. So let's move on to got another page. I want you to hear some tidbits from Mr. Cecil. Let's see. Libby's phone had location services enabled, listen, for a variety of apps. Camera, Maps, Snapchat, App Store, Siri had location services enabled. It was permanently on for weather app. The geolocation data comes from the GPS network, cell, or Wi-Fi, depending, but GPS, which has very good accuracy, was on the entire time through the weather app, and all the Snapchat, App Store, Siri, and Maps, camera, etc., also had location services on. All right. Cecil says the GPS location is accurate to within 30 meters. Now, doesn't that go against everything McClellan was gaslighting about thousands of meters? Okay, so maximal inaccuracy range, 30 meters. More like 15, 10, 3, 2, 1. All right. Libby had location turned on for Snapchat, meaning, yes, we got GPS data. There's also timestamps. The Snapchat GPS is very precise. All right. Now, based on new information, they conclude that the phone had previously thought went off at 10:32 because the battery low was incorrect. Okay. At 4:33 a.m., approximately 15 to 20 text messages come in. Again, at 4:34 a.m., the last activity, we can assume that's when the battery dies, which means something weird happened. In other words, was the phone nearly dead? Was turned off? Was it handled at 4:33 and turned on, but because it only had 1% battery, it died within a minute? Something happened, right? What it appears to be for me is that there were multiple handlings of the phone after 2:32 p.m. at the crime scene. Remember, we had 5:44 p.m., the last ping of the phone that was pinging every 15 minutes. 5:45 p.m., a 3.5 millimeter jack was plugged into the headphone jack. 5:49 p.m., the last of the three phones that we're discussing tonight leaves the geofencing. Now, remember, (5:44 p.m.) last ping, which means something happens at that point. 5:45 p.m., activation of headphone jack. 5:49 p.m., last phone leaves. Last of the three phones. Okay. Where are we? What page are we on here? 7? No one has an answer. That's the other kicker. Cecil doesn't have an answer. Herein doesn't have an answer. The other guy doesn't have an answer. The prosecutor has the gaslight answers. All right, so it gets better. Look at the bottom here. Apologize, this is small. You know, I'm dealing with limited cheap ass software, but it's called StreamYard. Okay, look at the bottom. He had a timeline for when the photo of Abby on the bridge was posted to Snapchat, but he was not able to find the picture on the phone. He didn't know why. Check this out. Top of the page here. Look at the top of the page. He found a picture on the internet of Abby on the bridge that had a timestamp that was the same or roughly the same as the timestamp that was showing in Knowledge C database for when that event had taken place. This is introduced as an exhibit, which means it's going into appeal, motherfuckers. The photo of Abby on the bridge that he found on the internet is now going to appeal. He clarified for the elevation change used for this program is one flight of stairs is probably equivalent to approximately 10 feet. Okay, so that means 2 flights is 20 feet. So we're showing 2 flights or 20 feet of elevation change. Now, it's going to get better. Okay. Let's read these points. As for the one that's allegedly from 207, Abby on the bridge, you know, the one he found on the internet with a Photoshop timestamp. Let's get into that. Sorry. He conceded that cell phone data is accurate and reliable, including Apple Health. Okay? He conceded that he doesn't know why at 4:33 a.m. the SMS came through, the 15 messages. All right. Again, he confirms that the 207 Abbey picture was not recovered. He didn't have an answer for why. Miss Auger suggested perhaps Snapchat can be accessed from another device. All right. And that is the meat from Cecil's discussion here. So I want us to take a look at while I discuss this. Let's take a look at this. Okay. Matter of fact, let me back this up a bit. Okay. What are we looking at here? What's this? Okay. What you see with the check mark here? That's a legitimate photo found on the phone with a timestamp, with the geofencing, I mean, with the GPS signature. This is taken, this empty bridge, it's taken at the time, at the place, before ever stepping foot on the bridge. You got that? This other one, with the X marking it as a fraud, is not found on the phone, not found, no timestamp. Timestamp appears to be photoshopped onto it. Someone want to explain that? So, what we have now is a thought experiment. What we have now is going to be using this information that was just given to us by Mr. Cecil with the idea that somebody has Libby's phone. Let's not be foolish. We're not foolish enough to assume that it's Libby holding her phone. Just like we're not going to be foolish enough to assume that that photo over there of Abby is legitimate just because it's out there on the internet. We're not going to assume that that's a real thing. Matter of fact, we're going to assume it's not because, firstly, several Photoshop experts and graphic designers have relayed to us independently that that photo exhibits all the telltale signs of Photoshop or tampering or fabrication or fraud. Secondly, that photo over there, you just heard from Mr. Cecil, something's wrong. Now, let me ask you a question. What does that photo with the red X do for this narrative? Let's assume that red X is not over that photo. Let's say that red X was not there, and let's say there was a check mark there. It was authentic. What would that photo do? Well, damn, it would establish a proof of life, would it not? It would say, hey, everyone, look, Abby's alive. Abby's wearing those clothes. Abby's on the bridge. Therefore, she must be with Libby. Libby must be taking that photo of her. That one photo with the red X would establish both girls' presence at that time, at that place. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't. It's an anomaly now. So now that we can't establish both girls' presence at that time in that place, we have to look back at this photo here with the check, which is a legitimate photo from the phone. And we have to ask ourselves, can we assume that Libby's holding that phone and that Abby is with her? No, we can't. All we can know for certain is that Libby's phone did take that image. But anybody could have that person's phone, right? Anybody can have your phone. So it's entirely reasonable to do a little thought experiment and say, hey, maybe it's not Libby holding the phone taking this empty bridge photo. Okay, so with that idea in mind, let's watch this video and see what's being shown here. Okay, not on Libby's phone. Used for phone tracking. Okay. Well, here's what we know. There's a timestamp attached to that empty bridge photo. So we know the victim's phone is there. We know at what time it's there. The person in possession of Libby's phone approaches the threshold of the high bridge. There's the high bridge. That's the location. That's the person moving, approaching. There, the person has made it to the high bridge. Takes a picture of the empty bridge, whoever it is. Check. It really happened. But assuming we're going to make sense of the data from Mr. Cecil, let's do a little thought experiment. Remember, you have 10 minutes, 2:08 to 2:18. Now look, the person's going to follow the green arrow and go off onto the trail. And remember, this is taking 10 minutes, okay? It's moving very fast in this illustration here, or this animation. It's moving fast. But this would be a 10-minute walk. Okay, so there, what you're seeing there is, if you look right here, you're going to see the high bridge. Okay, you see the high bridge there? So they have come from the high bridge, and now they're going down towards the ravine. There's a ravine. Okay, stop. Now, what was said about 414 meters? You guys remember that yet? That from 208 to 218, 414 meters. Remember, uh, let's put it another way. At 207, that empty bridge photo was taken. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's be very clear because I fucked that up. At 205, at 205, remember 145 at a minimum, the 1600 steps have occurred. So then by 205, snaps the empty bridge, like was just shown. $207, the phone is unlocked. While no upload is made. And then 208, the phone starts moving for 10 minutes. You get to 414 meters, and here we are. Okay, see the ravine? $20 elevation change. All right, so who the hell, who the hell knows what's going on with all of this data? Question: fallible versus infallible. If that data is infallible, then it would be the interpretation of the data that has the potential of fallibility. So I view it like this: we've got some nuggets of infallible data from this process. Now, the question is, what more are we going to gain that is infallible in the next weeks, months, and years? And how can we learn to interpret it with critical thinking, expertise, and novelty of thought? As I mentioned many times to people who've come in to my circle here, you see, they like to smear us, slander us, and discount us by calling us all sort of names in an attempt at ad hominem attacks, which are logical fallacies like conspiracy theorists, nutters, idiots, embarrassments. And that's fine. That's fine. Because what I tell everyone is, look, when you come into this, you have to you have to clear your mind. You literally have to wipe the slate clean because you have to understand that for 7 years, you've been indoctrinated. This entire community has been indoctrinated by a contingent producing a narrative in order to predispose you to drawing certain conclusions and making certain assumptions about the infallible data that will be revealed, which is why so many data points were released over the years with a narrative attached. You see, I call it PR, narrative control, disinformation, and misinformation. The entire point being, we know certain infallible forensic data exist of all sorts: DNA, GPS, um, proprietary advertiser data in the various apps, eyewitnesses, those with personal knowledge of certain details. All of these points were known from the very beginning by these perpetrators. So the objective was, we have to take what is known by us and has the potential of being a damaging point that will surface in the future. And we have to attach a narrative to it right now. And gradually we drip these out. We seed. So they planted seeds, they seeded these data points with attached narratives over the years so that a movement would build, a sort of an infestation of the mind to cloud your thinking so that you've got this prefabricated ball of wax here, this thing that's already predetermined. And as you learned details, or you gain higher fidelity into certain facts, you're going to interpret everything through that lens. For instance, the timeline, the assumptions about the sequences of events, and who did what and who was where and who did who and dot 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 dot, all these little blah blah blahs over the years, like Bridge Guy, like Lone Wolf, like catfishing, like sexual assault, like following around down the hill, across the creek, down to that spot, like wore my sweaters. Every single point that's been implanted like a little virus or a little seed planted, it's already wrapped up with its own guardrails. So you come into the community, you're prejudiced by all of that when looking at these infallible details. Your interpretation fails. Your interpretation becomes fallible. So, yeah, it's my suggestion. You wipe the slate, forget everything you ever knew, only look at the points, and then start to think of the simplest explanation in reverse. Like conflicts over who found the girls, which group, when, and where. 7 years of stories can only mean one thing. Okay? All of these little points. So, details will come about the phones. Not just the 3 phones, not just the 4 phones, not the 5, not the 11, not the 20. Details will come. I would love to sit here today and tell you the names of those individuals with the phones, with the 3 phones in the geofencing, those that are bothering everybody. And they've already prepared their stories because they know it's inevitable. Those names will come. More names will come. More facts will come. Um, so we look at them, and we interpret them, and we try to understand what we're seeing. You already know that the jury was misled. The jury wasn't able to interpret what they saw. The jury had a certain amount of trust in the prosecutor, in the system, and in law enforcement. And unfortunately, that trust was violated. Perhaps they don't even understand the degree to which that bridge guy image was manipulated or created. So, listen, the defense made a mistake. No, I'm sorry. The jury made a mistake. The jury made a mistake. They were duped because they trusted the system. They trusted the untrustworthy. And it's a shame. It's a shame because how do you think they're going to feel? Not all of them, maybe not all of them. Pardon me. My point is, how do you think that jury's going to feel, at least some of them, when they realize that they were duped? When they realize that they trusted someone they shouldn't have, and someone's life hang in the balance. And as I said to a friend earlier, I said, the thing about this is that there's now been another victim added to the Delphi murders. Say they were able to be shown a bridge guy that was a fabrication, an enhancement. They heard a voice, and they were told by an ISP officer that voice belongs to Richard Allen, and that Voice was an enhancement, a creation. And that officer gave an opinion that's not an expert opinion. It's not a medical opinion, and it's not a forensic opinion. It's a willy-nilly opinion. He just threw on out there, and it was allowed. So you've now taken the two girls in Delphi, victims who cannot be brought back. You've taken the other victims who've died around this murder, like Robert Fortson. And who knows, Cat Cole? How many others? They can't be brought back. I don't know. Greg Ferenczi? But now you've added to that list of victims Richard Allen, his wife, and his daughter. 3 individuals who are still here. How do you think some of those jurors are going to feel when they remove the calluses from their eyes? They see what has actually happened. They see what was kept from them. They realize they trusted those they should not have trusted. They were duped. And that they've now victimized 3 individuals who are still here. I don't think they're going to like it. Because then they become victims. How many jury members are going to realize that they've been victimized? Like I said, this is probably the greatest miscarriage of justice in the past 20 years around the murder of 2 little kids. And I'm sure that's why all of us care about it. Okay. Because we felt that justice for those 2 girls who cannot be brought back can only be served with the truth coming to the surface. Not a patsy, not a cover up, not a cartel continuing to exist to do what they want to do, protected by judges, law enforcement, prosecutors, but true justice. So that's I hope that's what we get. I hope that's what we get. Because I know that's why we're all here. We're here because first, truth, because that's justice for those girls. Not bloodthirst, not a fantasy, not a convenient lie, not an easily digestible boogeyman. No. So, like I said, this one here, it's just a chipping away at that iceberg. And it was called 3 phones, but as I mentioned, it really means 4 phones, or even 5 phones, or 11 phones, or 22 phones, 44 phones. The phones provide infallible truth. It's how we interpret the data. And so, hopefully, tonight was a worthwhile investment of your time. I didn't promise you answers at the beginning because I don't have them regarding these phones. I don't have them. But they will come. The answers will come. Anyway, I want to thank you for coming tonight. I want to thank some of my donors with the super chats. We had Mudbug. Thank you so much, Mudbug. Mark Ellis. Thank you so much, Mark Ellis. And those Mudbug gifted one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Mudbug gifted about 7 memberships tonight. And so, super thanks to Mudbug for gifting everyone tonight, and to Mark Ellis, and to you for being here in the chat. And I guess I should just do my commercial and say that we have the various support pathways. We have Cash App and Buy Me a Coffee. The other support pathways that you can access, and the super chats and thanks. And if you're on a replay, please leave a comment down below. That's super helpful for the channel. Appreciate that. And I want to thank everyone who joined the live chat. I apologize that I know tonight was not necessarily a night for the chat. Didn't have much discussion with the chat, but mostly we do. Mostly we do. So apologize that tonight was not so chat centric, but I thought it was important to review some of this information about those 3 phones and Liberty's phone. And like I said, we don't have answers, not too many, but it's a starting point. And so, anyhow, I hope that you're able to go into the channel, watch some of the other videos. We have so much content on this channel, so many videos. We've looked at this from every angle. There's a lot there. So if you're interested in whatever aspects, go dig around. I'm sure you'll find nice things. And hey, like I said, I always love the comments so much. So even if you're not too into watching old content, um, just feel free as you wanna to send me messages in the comments and all that. I always appreciate it. Love the comments. Makes the days nice when all day comments are coming in. Anyhow, it's been really great, really great. I want to thank those in the chat right now. So let me see who's in here. We got Mariah McCoy, Wendy Kirby, Lewis, Fabi Lash, Mark Ellis, Carbun, Starlight Synchronicity, Joseph Borg, Kayla, Five Green Acres, Sweet Dude Shibby, Love Songs, Death Dance, Shaker Maker. Who else is in here? Christine S., Investigation Consultant. Meow Meow. And Mandy, Amy, Tinkerbell, Digital, Spike Dog, Swade Smith, Tyam Dally, Bunny Murphy, Woman Doing, Rebecca Ann, Jay, Snarky Ass Angel. I like saying that. Mama J, Plain Iron, Hannah, and hey, everyone else that was here earlier. I'm not going back too far, but everyone, I thank you so much for being here. Mino Dino, what's up? Heather Brown, what up, Heather Brown? Okay. V, what's up, V? There you go. Mama J, Crazy Chick 79, what's up? All right. So yeah, everyone in the chat, dude, I appreciate you being in the chat. I missed getting to talk to you guys tonight, but maybe tomorrow we'll do a chat, or tomorrow we'll do a chat centric show so we can all talk. But thank you so much. Bree really needed an alibi. She was sure to get the pig. So, like I've said so many times, what's up, MD? New here? Okay. Um, I got to tell you, Lesia and Rebel Six, what's up? Um, what was I gonna say? Oh man, lost my train of thought. Oh, about the witnesses. You go back year and a half, and you'll find me saying this when it was not a popular thing to say. I think the witnesses, the searchers, are not different than the criminals. I think the search was the crime. I think the witnesses were the perimeter of the search. Get what I'm saying? Until I'm convinced differently, it's not that big of a mystery. Listen, Doug Carter said tentacles before he gave up on all of us, on those girls, and on integrity. So I wished that Doug Carter had fought, but I think they just wore him down and he gave up. So, but hey, it's not over. It's not over. You can still do a good job, Doug, which is talk. You can retire and tell us all the truth because we're going to keep doing what we're doing, just like you said. Anyway, thanks everyone here. Listen, yeah, please pray for me. Please pray for Truth Seeker's mother. Please pray for my family, each other's families, for truth for these girls, and for all good things. Because that's what we hope for, right? Anyway, I love you guys. And hi, I see you guys coming in late. Hit the replay. I'm sorry, we're done now. We've been on quite a while, but God bless you all. Yeah. See you later. Like I said last night, sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. And hide your kids, hide your wife if you're in Delphi. Otherwise, hug your kids, hug your wife. Okay. Round of applause to everyone. Thanks for being here. I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Boom. All right. God bless. I'm out.